Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas, huh? I mean, that was some kind of a game. Great gifts as we go into this holiday season over here. Typical Spurs game. You just didn't know which way it was going to go. You just know there was going to be a lot of goals, but Liverpool win it 6-3. Great performance overall. As always, there's some complaints, but even when you win 6-3, that happens. Brian is with us. Serzi is with us. I think Blake is going to be joining us shortly. Serzi, we'll start with you. Spurs games, I would think, especially when they have the ball, you're popping in medicine and then just like spitting it out when we have the ball. What do you make of that game?
Yeah, it's like we were saying in the pre-game, it depends which Spurs turned up. And I think whenever Spurs, however they started the game, was going to dictate the game. And they pretty much folded from kickoff. So yeah, even though we won 6-3 and we conceded 3, it wasn't a game where any of that was going to like give me a heart attack. They were just like 3 like complacent goals. It wasn't oh no, we're back to lose this game. We never once lost control of that game. And despite conceding 3, I really couldn't put a blame on anyone. I think the whole team just had like 9 out of 10 performances.
Yeah, I mean, the Dogs had this game circled on the calendar for a while, Brian. They were waiting. When are you going to play Spurs, man? That should be some goals and snacks in that one. And yes, they are full. I don't think we're going to need lunch.
Oh, they were excited, I'm sure. They're like...
Here's the thing. I honestly, the only complaint that probably we can have if you really wanted to find something is probably when at times during the game, we got complacent and kind of like let him back. And they can get a goal in. That's what their strength is. I definitely get the 5-1. And if you're ever played in a game when you're up 5-1, automatic, the guard falls down a little bit. Were you concerned at all going to? I mean, I know we were all a little bit concerned once it became 2-1. But my concern was not the fact that like they were going to come back and we were going to lose the control. It was more about, are we going to be able to regain the control we had in the beginning?
I really wasn't really concerned. I mean, I think that 2 of those goals were just good goals. I mean, Kazi and I were talking about. I mean, on Discord right there. I mean, you can't fault right there the Kudichensky goal right there because that was just a class goal. I mean, the pass was class. Everything about that was right there. I think Solanke's goal was a great goal too. I mean, so I mean, I can't really fault it. I kind of almost thought like the Ange was conceding when he came there to pull Madison right there, but I mean it seemed like they played better without Madison. It was a weird game. It was a Spurs Liverpool match, like you said right there. I mean, how many of these have we seen right there where it's like 4-3, 4-2, 5? I mean 5-4. This type of match. It's like playing Newcastle again. They're like the Newcastle of the South for us almost right there, but. But I wasn't really that concerned right there. I kind of thought that we still had a level of control on the match right there. And really honestly, once you had a 4-goal cushion, I mean, it's hard for a team to go out there and get to come back and score 4 goals in 30 minutes. I mean, this isn't you're not playing EA Sports with this type of thing right there. I mean, you're not beating on kids like you do, like on online and stuff like that.
I was gonna say challenge accepted. I'm gonna try to do that now, but yeah, I mean, you're right. I think the thing that impresses me the most, Serzi, is the fact that this team. There's so much like control to them. I mean, in the past, I would be more worried at a game like this because we would kind of get sucked into the basketball match that Spurs wants to play and is really their strength. But what I like is, everybody on this team kind of at times knows and said, nope, we're stopping for a little bit. We're going to kind of like slow down the base and contain it and make them run around. That's probably the biggest difference. I mean, like I say, a year ago, if this game is played, it might be 8-4, it might be 4-4, but it just feels like there are times where we say, hold everything. We're going to control it for a little bit over here. We're not going to get sucked into that. It's like a lot of maturity that Slot has been able to pass on to people on the pitch.
Yeah, exactly. I think with Klopp, and it just feels like we keep dogging on Klopp. But I think we're seeing like the best of both worlds with this. Like, like I said, we conceded 3, but we controlled it, and we controlled it when we needed to control it. We kept the ball when we needed to, keep the ball. We wasn't we wasn't trying to go toe to toe the whole 90 minutes. Yeah, and it was a mature performance, and just to see the type of players that we have coming off the bench, it's just, again, it kind of backs up the reason why we didn't buy any players in the summer. But saying that, we didn't expect Gravenberch to be like a player of the season come December, and everyone just performed. Even Gomez, started the season like fourth in the pecking list of centre backs, and now he's putting in Gomez, Premier League champion performance in again. We're missing Konate, but still, like we've conceded 8 goals in 3 games, but still, today it was really nothing to gripe about. It was just a good, excellent performance. Beat a team that did a lap of honor, beating 9 players and needed an own goal to win last season. So that was extra. It was an extra bite, which it was just a great game to go to Christmas Day.
Yeah, I mean, we're home to Leicester, who got pummeled by Vitor Pereira's Wolves today, by the way. But I mean, I guess the only concern then will be that's why I thought like we would get substitutions earlier today, actually, because I felt like, going into Thursday to Sunday is like a short turnaround and stuff. But I think some of the things are like lack of options. You would think normally he would bring he likes substituting left back, right back, and stuff like that, switching those guys, getting some fresh legs. Maybe he just wanted to figure like we can just control this game and finish it on. I mean, let me ask you this though, Brian. As I watched the game, that first goal is just like the art of like football right there. I mean, if you go back and watch it from the very beginning, the number of like mini triangles that are set up to build through that press, and then the perfect cross and the header and stuff like that. But the question to you, Shelton, the way we set up those triangles and kind of like go through their press almost like too easily, is that on us? Is that on them? Or how much? If you make me that famous pie, how much of a slice are we getting?
I really think, like I said earlier right there, I think it was a lot on them. I think because, again, that's a makeshift defense right there that you have at that side at the moment right there. I mean, it's like with the analogy right there we're talking about a Ferrari with with a Pinto engine basically right there. I mean, because it's like everything up in the front right there is fantastic. I mean, we weren't going to stop them from scoring right there, but their defense right there has been piecemealed left and right with you there. I mean, so I knew that was going to happen with them. But I think a lot of it right there was, I think that Slot has come there and has instilled tweaked the side right there to become a possession-based side right there. And I think that they understand how the importance of keeping the ball on your feet and setting up the perfect thing. It's such a total difference right there from watching the way Klopp had this side where it was speed, opportunity, speed, opportunity, speed, opportunity. This is like, hey, let's just go and sit back and go there. And of course, John's going to talk about Gravenberch. It's kind of like a non-talking about Slavoj Nunez. I mean, it's like clockwork. But yeah, but I mean, I think it's such a difference. And I think it wasn't really that hard to really do that because it's all basic football. So I mean, so once you go there and take down right there is setting up, and then shoot. I mean, and you can see that was a string of about 12, 14 passes, something like that. I mean, it's death by football. And it's Dutch. It's Dutch.
Yeah, it is Dutch. Yes, that's a good point, actually. Yeah, I mean, Gravenberch. Honestly, Sergi, when you look overall, it's really hard to find even an average performance today. I don't know if that's like the score making everything look better kind of a deal, but I look around the pitch. I mean, Ali really, even though he conceded 3 goals, there wasn't one goal where I was like, he can probably do better on that. He had like a couple of like really good saves as well. Trent, I thought 1v1 when he was back there, he was great defending. You don't get this out of a lot of me, so make the most of it. But same thing with Robertson. I mean, we're like getting into an argument back and forth over there because there are a lot of people who were kind of taking him out to the back and shooting him like it was like a horse with a broken leg, like last week. He needed. I mean, I think when he gets rest a game like this, I thought he was really good. And this is a different role. Maybe everybody's expecting to, like keep running from the left and doing his thing, which he did a lot today compared to normal because of how they play. But man, I thought overall, Sergi, I mean, I don't know who you want to focus on, but I thought it was like great performances, like throughout, like midfield, up top. Like, as I think through the squad, I can think of like even an average performance.
No, I mean, and Robertson, I made that for him. He needed that. All the vitriol he was getting for the last few games, and he needed that performance. It was great. Like I said, everyone put in an 8 or 9 out of 10 performance. Even Szoboszlai, like he took on number 8. He played like Gerrard today. He could have done better with his shots, and we could have probably won this game, probably 10-4. And that wouldn't be exaggerating. Salah, if he'd have taken his chances that you expect him to, Szoboszlai, could have taken a couple. So no, it was an excellent performance. It was like one of them from back in the late 80s when we beat Forest 5-1, and it was just like, yeah, we conceded 3. That's the only blemish, but it wasn't because of defensive errors or we got caught out, or if it was another team that was playing against us, we would have conceded more. No, it was just conceded 3 good goals. And Solanke, I'm kind of happy he scored. I mean, he didn't celebrate against us, which is good. But yeah, I mean, if anyone was going to score from us, it'd rather be Solanke. He's a good kid. But yeah, it was a good performance. Nunes is probably wanting to come in a lot earlier, thinking that if we're going to get a goal, we're definitely going to get a goal today. But it is what it is. Bring on Leicester at home, Boxing Day. It's a good fixture.
Yeah, it was a Nunes kind of game, especially the last 15-20 minutes. Probably that's what I thought he would come in a bit earlier and like make an impact that way. But I know on Thursday night you guys do a lot of Nunes bashing there, Brian. But without going into Nunes bashing, let's do some Diaz acknowledgements. I mean, the funny thing is we were just talking on Friday. Kazi was talking about how he has not really scored much.
Yeah.
I mean, he started on fire to the Premier League in the beginning of the season, but he hasn't had a lot of goals. I think they said like since like September or something crazy like that, like end of September or something. But it feels like, okay, why do you think the decision to go with Diaz over Nunes? Is it just because Nunes can make it harder on those two fresh green center backs as much as like Nunes and Diaz would cause the same trouble? Why do you think he goes with Diaz in a game like this?
I think it has a lot to do with the chemistry between Szoboszlai and Nunes. I think that's the thing. I think if you have two people who constantly run and stretch right there, they trip over top of each other. And I've seen that in a couple of matches right there where they're making the same type of runs and concurrently right there, and they both get lost at the same time. I mean, I think that Diaz right there, kind of like what John just said over here on the little thing right there is that Diaz does come there as a better movement, but he's a smarter footballer. I mean, with it, I mean, where where he actually goes and makes his runs and then looks. I think I do my often comparison right there with Nunes with Milan Barros. It's the same type of player right there who just runs and runs at you and hopes to get that opportunity. And then that's kind of what he does a lot right there. And I think that Diaz is sometimes more predictable, but he's also more or less, thinks about the passes and thinks about the movement. I think that Nunes just runs. Szoboszlai, the same thing with Szoboszlai.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point in terms of them tripping over each other at times. I just feel like what Diaz brings in that middle, Sergi, is a bit smarter press, and I think they're a lot better at. There were a lot of times where you almost had a mini switch with Gakpo, because Gakpo can kind of see where Diaz is at and sometimes fill in for that. It feels like they're a bit better dynamic going there because either one. I mean, Nunes likes going left and wide as well, but sometimes doesn't know when to do that. I mean, it feels like Gakpo has a better understanding on spacing things out. What I really like about Diaz is his pressing, and I know everybody says Nunes presses and runs, which he does, but I feel like Diaz takes a lot better angles. My thought was we did not want Spurs coming out of that press because obviously if they do, then that's when they're really dangerous. whereas Diaz can give you a bit more of a controlled press and a smarter press where he cuts out passing lanes. Nunez just runs sometimes like 100 miles an hour to point B, but he doesn't cover point C where the ball could go to.
Yeah, I think, well, obviously Nunes played like 90 minutes the other day. But I think with this game, you know, we knew there was going to be goals in this game. And it's two teams that so similar to each other attacking-wise. But we needed, like Brian was saying, like intelligence and some control where we're not just going to keep attacking and then get caught on a counter-attack. You know, Diaz, you know, he does play more intelligence. Yeah, he does need to look up a lot more, but he's a lot more intelligent attacker. And you know, I don't see Nunez going for a diving header for that cross from the, you know, Trent. You know, it was a perfect team, and we had perfect tempo and perfect control in that game. And I think Nunez is unpredictable, but this wasn't a game to have playing an unpredictable player. You just bring him on second half, and you know, and you just finish off the game. I'm surprised Endo didn't come on actually to try and maybe control the game a little bit more.
But the same thing, yeah. Especially like when it was 5-2, I thought he would come in, rest somebody, and you know, get a bit control. I don't know if he felt. I mean, there was not a lot of midfield movements at the time. You know, like Spurs are a lot more direct. They don't really build as much through the midfields, so they could just like eliminate Endo because he doesn't have the speed to recover like Gravenberch or Szoboszlai or anything like that. But we'll bring Blake on. Blake, we were just talking about the performances. It feels like you could not find anyone that was average. Everybody had a pretty solid game.
Yeah.
Who's the one that stands out to you the most?
I guess I mean, I always tend to go with Mo, but because you know Mo does it game in, game out. But I got Diaz looked pretty stellar today, just getting the ball, going to get the ball, making moves, making plays. I mean, what did he have? 2 goals today?
Yeah, right. He ended up with 2. I lost track after a while.
I'm taking care of my son today, so I got to watch it on and off. So, but I liked Diaz's game today.
Yeah, I mean, one guy that finally got a goal that, you know, I know Anan will be very happy about, finally, about time, is probably Szoboszlai. But more than his goal, except a few times, Brian, it was very impressive how good he was on the air. There were so many balls that were kind of like coming out of the press or being played long from the back. And he was almost like a number 9, bringing those balls down to whether it's Diaz or Mo and stuff like that. Probably one of his best games. It will kind of get lost in the mix.
I think we've grown to depend on Szoboszlai's runs. I really do. I think that we need that in like matches like this. I mean, I don't think that because the way that you have to go there and stretch the midfield and stretch them to put them to stop the playmaking. And that was what happened with the Spurs match right there. We stretched him, and stopped the Madison from being able to go there to go and make his runs and do the things that he does in there. So I mean, Slot is a lot different right there from how with Klopp right there because he actually right player, right place right there instead of putting square pegs around holes. We don't have the same thing that we had before right there where we were moving players around except for Kwanzaa at right back. But I mean, I'm gonna let that pass right there. Yeah. But everything else right there is right there. It's like you come with there. It's like Szoboszlai does the runs that comes there and stretches and sets up this offense. I mean, some matches right there, like I think you were talking about Endo. I believe Endo will play on Boxing Day. I think that that's the type of match right there. It's going to be probably more set up for an Endo type player. You know, where this right here is speed. Leicester doesn't have that speed, so we just need to control. And so, and I think that Endo was a controlling, holding midfielder that we have to have for that type of match.
Yeah, I'm hoping Jake can join us on the Tuesday on the Premier League panel show because I want to ask, because at some points, I mean, it looked like Kulusevski against Liverpool kind of thing. He was kind of like playing out of his mind. But at the same time, you got to give credits, and I don't do this a lot, so let's do it over here, like defensively on the right-hand side over there. Not only Trent, but I thought Gomez was exceptional as well, and they, for the most part, took Son out of the game.
I remember what one of the announcers said. It said Gomez almost looks like another Van Dijk back there today. I was like, that sounds about right, actually.
I mean, that's the thing, Sergi. I feel like, when you look at Gomez, I mean, this guy at one point, he gets probably the most shit from fans, and I have no idea why. But at one point, we were like, oh, we're set. We do this all the time, right? Like somebody plays next to Van Dijk, they have 2 good games. They're like, we're set for the next 5 years. And stuff. I mean, that was the guy when we made that run. He was that guy because he has the tools for the high line. He's good on the ball, obviously, because he can play right back. But until Konate comes, you got to figure that's his jersey. Does this put Kwanzaa really just for pretty much League Cup games and stuff like that?
Yeah, and just credit to Gomez. He's our longest serving player. He's only 27. I understand he's had bad games, but he does get a lot of love and abuse, which I think is unwarranted. Last season he came into his own. Klopp used him everywhere, but in goal and up front. And he performed every single time. But yeah, it's credit to him. He was 4th choice out the door, and he came back, and now he's probably second choice behind Konate. Kwanzaa, I don't understand the stick that he gets. He's in bad form this season, but he'll learn. Like I said the other day on Thursday, he put a target on his own back with the comments he made about Matip last season, and I think that was just more immature and not choosing the right words to say. But he'll learn. He still gets into most top 6 Premier League defense in the defense. So we're just lucky we have someone of that quality that we in our squad, and he's going to learn from the best defender in the world. So he just needs some time. He needs a good game of like cup games where he can perform. And the Carabao Cup's the best one for him to get more experience, another medal hopefully, and then he'll just work his way up. Eventually, when Van Dijk retires or leaves us, he'll move up the pecking order, and then it'll be his spot to fight for.
But it's like I was saying as a pre about Kwanzaa, no defender has maturity yet until they're 25, 26 years old right there to actually do it. You can look at Van Dijk. Van Dijk, when he was at Celtic right there, was not a complete player. He didn't actually grow into a more complete player until he went to Southampton. And then he grew into that player. So you can't expect that so much out of a young defender. And I think that we as a group are all guilty of putting this into Kwanzaa's head right there, because he had a run of great matches toward the end of last season. We also now need to come there and have the expectations that he's a young footballer learning his trade, and you have to come there and give him that due. I think that Kwanzaa right there, definitely against PSV and Lille, those matches right there. If we come to where we have have fixture congestion, that's where Kwanzaa gets to play into those type of matches. Accrington Stanley, absolutely. I mean those type of things like that. So. I think we're guilty of coming there as a group right there of seeing young players come there and actually get good string of games, and also the next greatest thing we did to Nico. I mean we did really bad to Nico, and I think that really affected Nico's play and all that. While he eventually came there, got sold, and I just don't want us to do the same thing to Kwanzaa right there. Where Andre Wisdom, that was another defender that we came there to hype out. Went away really quick. And I think that this will be a good learning experience for Kwanzaa. And I think that for him to go there and actually learn his trade and get better, I would not even put about right there, even putting Kwanzaa out on loan right there to a Premiership side to get him minutes that we know that he can actually get minutes in. And he did come up from Bristol the season before last. I mean, so he needs to come up there and get these minutes in right there. And as a young footballer, sitting on the sidelines watching this right there, you're not applying your trade. And then, sometimes a loan is the best option right there if we have the depth to support it. But right now, we don't.
Yeah, I think it's harder for a defender to be able to kind of gain that momentum and gain the confidence back. I mean, goalie and defense are probably the hardest places because in most cases, and unfortunately, maybe this is the thing for Kwanzaa, right? Like his mistakes have always, like his luck results in goals. Whereas in midfield, you know, you kind of rarely get blamed for that, or you can do a couple of good things and get away with it and made it forgotten. You get an assist, you get a goal. Same thing with being forward. You can be a striker, miss freaking 10 things, but then you score one, and then, you know, like all is forgotten kind of a deal. So I think the only thing I don't agree with the loan thing. I think I agree with everything you said, because I feel like his problem is going to be getting good games under wearing a Liverpool jersey. I think, you know, he goes somewhere else. I don't know, let's say Wolves or somewhere, or like Southampton. He plays real great. I think when he comes back and puts on a Liverpool jersey, that's lack of confidence going to come right back, I feel like, because that's where it's happened when he hits Anfield and stuff like that. So I think the best thing for him is like to get more games, get more experience. This buys him time. He's not thrown out there with lack of confidence the way Gomez is playing. As I was watching, that's basically like, I was like, oh man, this is like, you know, watching Gomez play, well, I thought had like an excellent game. I thought he was good. I'm a kind of like a Gomez homer over here. Let's answer this on the way out. Our friend John, who's working so much now. I haven't seen John on a Wednesday morning in so long, man. Would you guys say that front line of Gakpo, Diaz, Mo is our best? So if there's a Champions League final, Blake, who is your front three?
Well, so far this season, I love Gakpo on that left. I'd actually probably go with Gakpo, Diaz, and Mo to start out, and then, you know, later on in the game, maybe about the 70th minute, throw on Nunez for some chaos if we need it. Because he's really, I mean, that's what he does. That's exactly what he does.
And I think Jota brings the finishing and stuff. And I like the fact that you can kind of move around like what we did today. It feels like Gakpo is the one who can't give you 90. I'm assuming in terms of legs. So he's the first one to come out, and Diaz can shift left and open up a spot for number 9. Serzi, since Mane is not an option, who is your front three?
I'm a Mane fan too.
I think I'll go Salah, Jota, and Gakpo.
Really? You cutting out boy Diaz?
You take Diaz out after today?
I think Gakpo is more controlled in terms of, I think Diaz coming on with pace. I think in the Champions League final, depending on who we're playing, obviously, but
that's true too. Yeah.
It's like I said, Gakpo can't give you a full 90, but Diaz, you know, he can run at defenders. He can tire defenders out. You know, he's got a shot on him. But how do you leave Jota out? Like he's the best striker we have in that team. You know, and he can go. You know, missing for 80 minutes in that game, he's going to grab you a goal either way. Like it's hard to bet against Jota.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I'm a little torn on this. John says, "Mr. Guys, money doesn't buy happiness, John. You'll learn money. I know you're young, but we'll teach you that as well. It doesn't bring happiness. Wednesday mornings brings you happiness." Brian, who is your front three? This is a hard one, really, but
that's a hard question right there, because again, it's kind of like what Sir Z said right there. Depends on who you're playing and what their tactics are and all that. But I mean, like forwards are like so temperamental right there. You don't know what they're going to do from women as far as their form right there. But there's some points right there I would have came there and put Diaz, Nunez, and Mo in there currently right now at the current state. I would say Gakpo is on the left with Diaz up the middle and Mo on the right. I mean, at the moment. Probably like a month earlier, I would have probably swapped out Gakpo for Diaz on the left with Nunez in the middle. So it just really depends on what their momentum is right there. And with the Jota, my issues with Jota probably are kind of like I guess I have to go with the Polish Prince right there. I have some of the same criticisms that he has of Jota right there also right there. Because I mean, we're very critical of and this is coming from a Thursday person. We're really critical of Nunez, but we're not that critical of Jota, when Jota has actually had some really, really bad misses right there where you're just like, okay, what are you what's going on there? So you got to be critical of both of them. I mean, I've said for a while, I think we still need another number 9 option right there and here. I mean, something that we can go there and go to, because again, Nunez's form is like this. Jota is waiting to go and take Thiago's spot every once in a while right there and take a vacation. So you need to have another 9 option right there. And I don't think Dan's is ready yet.
No, go ahead, Sergio.
Jota, yeah, he might have a couple of bad misses, but 8 times out of 10 he'll score. With Nunes, he consistently misses. So I know that's the biggest difference. And talk about strikers out there. I mean, who would you get? Even Haaland can't find the back of the net. You know, it's hard to find.
There's that one dude for Celtic,
striker.
Yeah,
Celtic,
go to Newcastle. That's what I'm going to tell. I was good with that right there. That's a forward. Yes.
But he's injured, so he might.
He gets injured a lot.
He's just an updated version of Jota. So you're going to pay 50, 60 million for someone who's probably going to play 10 games a season max. And funnily enough, we were actually in for Isaac, but we chose.
I remember.
There's that one guy. I think it's for Sporting. That guy Gyökeres. Yeah.
I always worry about how that translates into the Premier League. That guy's got Manchester United written all over him, doesn't he?
Yeah,
probably.
That's where I worry.
Yeah, but hey, give me João Pedro. I'll take João Pedro in a heartbeat.
I was just saying yesterday that guy hangs onto the ball way too long. But I would mind. I don't know. I feel like going back to what Sergio was saying about Jota, it's similar to I think when Mo misses. I mean, you got to give him that based on the ones he scores. And I feel like about Jota the same way. I think that's why he doesn't get as much criticism. Because I agree, he has the misses as well. But I think he doesn't get as many criticism because he has been there, done that in terms of getting the goal, so he earns the benefit of the doubt.
The only problem I have with Jota is you never know when he's going to get injured again.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. And I mean, I know Nunez gets much hate, but he plays he's there. He plays the game. He just needs to finish, which I know it's like being a.
I mean, that's like being like that goalie is out there to save.
I mean,
but man, I mean, at the end of the day,
he makes the harder chances look so easy, and then the easiest ones where it's just like a tap and it hits the post or it goes over the net or something.
Newcastle.
Yeah.
I mean, I honestly, like I say, I feel like right now, you won't see any movements. The more I see this team, I don't know if we're going to get more than 1 or 2 things come up over here in January. It'd be nice to wrap up these contracts over here and getting somewhat peace of mind. But it feels I have one
question. I have a question before we go.
Go ahead.
What do you guys think are the chances getting done before the January 1st?
I mean, really the January 1st thing, it's not like if we don't do it by January 1st, they're gone. It's just that they can sign with somebody else. And I don't know. Aside from Trent, definitely the other 2 will not sign with somebody else in January. I almost feel like that's a guarantee. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. They would play it out till summer. But they were saying in the broadcast, Brian, I mean, they're playing. They're playing at their peak. So if they're not get affected by it, it feels like we're the only ones affected by it. The team is not.
Like we always are.
Yes,
always. I mean, in my opinion, right there, I think that there's a lot. I mean, from what Verge came there and said right there that he doesn't talk about contracts, stuff like that. I mean, that's for Trent. Same thing. All these players saying that. Mo's the only one that kind of brought it up, and I'll tell you right there, sign Mo Salah for that 2-year deal. I'm sorry. That's our whole offense at the moment is revolving around Mo. So we have to come up there and that has to get done right there. Same thing with Verge. Our whole defense revolves around Verge, but we need to go out there and have somebody that's going to be able to take that less center half spot behind him. Trent, I mean, I want Trent to stay, but I'm not. But it goes back to the conversation that Gally and all you guys had on Monday right there. I'm not paying Trent for 450, 500 a week. I'm not doing it. I'm sorry, I can't. He's a right back.
Sorry, he's a right back.
He's a right back. I'm sorry, right there. I mean, I could give you some good numbers, give you in the 300 range, something like that. But that's as far as you're going to make it, as far as in that position right there. Give Mo his money. Give Trent, give Verge his money, and you may have to do some thought processes right there with Trent. But Trent, and we're kind of going off on a little tangent right there about Trent right there, but Trent right there will regret not signing for us. I'm just going to say that right there because he doesn't realize what that monster that in white is over there across the English Channel. I mean, that's a mess right there, and you know what? One slip up, they'll never let you forget it.
Well, look at Mbappe.
Ask Garrett Bale. Ask Garrett Bale right there.
Look at Mbappe.
Yeah.
Mbappe wanted to go there, and he struggled all season.
Garrett Bale came there and delivered them two European Cups right there. I mean, with us, Garrett Bale beat us. I mean, that was Garrett Bale's match. He delivered this right there, and guess what? He still hold it as fucking low regards right there with at Real Madrid.
Madrid fans feel like we got Bale 2 European Cups. Like the team is so good and so much money being spent on it. I think everybody just becomes a part of the machine and nobody gets. I mean, it's very rare that Real like really goes that this is our player kind of a thing. You're just part of, and that's the thing with Trent. I feel like he's just going to be part of a machine, but I don't know. I hope they get this sorted out. But either way, we're going to Christmas, top of the league, by 4 points, game in hand, which is not a guaranteed 3 points, by the way. We see how tough it is to play Everton. I think Bickler was saying too, they're on a good run, at least defensively. So the best thing that probably happened to us was the weather delay on that.
They looked good against Chelsea today. I mean, defensively, they look great.
But at the end of the day, I mean, hey, man, you can't complain. Christmas, we're up. Chelsea loses points today. United gets hammered. We get a nice win with a ton of goals. So a great Sunday overall. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Tomorrow morning, I will be back with the Polish friends for the morning coffee show. We'll see you guys then. Take care.